What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Times.
What's up? What's up?
And LeVon Maynard.
Hey, welcome to the show.
What is going on? So if you listen to this in order, this should be Tuesday's episode. Definitely tune in for Monday, where we talk about how Missouri, Missouri is vowing to prosecute a quote unquote hacker for a data leak, which we disagree with the terminology. So definitely tune in to that one, especially if you're a hacker, you might be offended. But if you're a journalist, you might be worried. So either way, you need to tune in. Then I won't dig too deep into this episode, leave that for LeVon, but definitely tune in Wednesday, where we talked to Mr. Gabriel Davis. Gabe works for CISA, and he gave us a little bit of his background, how he got into cyber, as well as what CISA provides to governments and local municipalities, and the full gamut of their services that they provide. Very interesting conversation. He even digs into some of the stuff he does online, as well as things he watches. So definitely a good conversation. Then Friday's episode, definitely tune in that one. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, really, because I didn't record it yet. So a little bit behind the scenes. Friday, we have not recorded yet, but it's everything but cybersecurity, right? So we try to talk about just games, all that good stuff. We'll talk about the 6th generation of consoles and what they meant to us and what have you. So a little nostalgia there. But without further ado, I give it to LeVon.
Right on. So in today's episode, we have an article. It looks like this one's not credited or not. It doesn't give credit to the author, but this is from futurism.com. And the title of this article is Homeland Security warns of cyberattacks intended to kill people. The attacks are increasing in frequency and gravity, and cybersecurity must be a priority for all of us. So essentially, this article is going into detail about, a lot of the recent cyber attacks we've had, with mostly focused around ransomware. And the Homeland Security Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, is warning that the next cybersecurity cyber attack could end up killing people. Dangerous and imminent shift from ransomware to Killware. Because we're seeing that, it references like the Colonial Pipeline ransomware that happened. Also, we know that was a big issue. It shut down the gas line. But even with that, it's kind of like that breach kind of overshadowed another breach that happened in Florida with the water treatment plant that, was hacked as well. And in that incident, essentially the hackers were trying to contaminate, much of the water supply of a city, Oldsmar, Florida. And the remote hacker was able to increase the amount of sodium, was at least attempting to increase the amount of sodium hydroxide 100-fold, which could have definitely, caused some deaths potentially if people were, when ingesting that water at that level of sodium hydroxide contaminated, and within that liquid. So the fact that these hackers are kind of increasing their scope of attacks and attacking these facilities like this water treatment plant. And then as we talked about last week, I think it was the hackers that ended up causing a person that was giving birth to a child, ended up having that child pass away because of the I guess essentially they shut down hospitals.
It was their monitoring.
Yeah, the monitoring. That's right. The monitoring capabilities at the hospital. So with that being shut down, I mean, it led to the death of a newborn child. So hackers are like, they're getting craftier. They're getting more, I'd say, like riskier. They're trying to attack places that they know will elicit some sort of response or potential, like this is like important facilities, important resources that people need to survive or need to gather data from, or need to, it's things like that people rely on, that these hackers are going for. And as we've seen with at least those two incidents, we know that one had a potential risk of death and one had a death. And I feel like even with the Colonial Pipeline, we probably, there's probably, deaths that you probably don't even know are kind of related. They kind of a snowball effect a little bit, or kind of like maybe domino effect, that they affect the pipeline, and then somebody's like, I know we joked about it before. People going to the gas stations trying to fill up, and they're using these jugs, and whether or not they have an accident there, or maybe somebody's trying to fight them, like, hey, you're taking too much gas. Let me get some of that gas, kind of thing. And you have these people that get into these incidents where they either beating up each other, or they end up pulling out some guns or something like that. So you never know. Things like that can kind of like become like a result of some of these hacks. But I think it's just interesting that we're seeing them become more prevalent. We talked about this for a long time now with ransomware, but as we see, as ransomware becomes, as they become a little bit more, I don't know, the little, they're like, I'm trying to think of the word, but they're going to extreme measures to try to get money, and they'll do whatever it takes, and whether it's affecting a hospital, whether it's affecting a water supply plant, and whether it's affecting gas lines, whether it's affecting a meat product packing factory or whatever, like we saw in Brazil. They go to any extremes, and especially if they're overseas and they're less concerned about it affecting them personally. They're not going to be like, most likely it's not going to be people in the local area that are using, that hacking their local, I don't know, water supply, or hacking, a local gas pipeline or something like that. So a lot of these people are overseas trying to use these sites as a source of income. But I guess with that, I want to turn it over to you, Ryan, and see if you had some thoughts on this subject.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I find it fascinating, right? So I'm happy that Homeland is taking it seriously and trying to think outside the box of how this could potentially impact us and affect us in the future. Excuse me. I just find like the whole subject is fascinating to me, because we talk about how the water treatment plant was easily accessed by a remote desktop, right? And just so happened somebody stopped the person from adding a lie and potentially making people sick. We talked about JBS and the meat packing, how that was pretty much grinded to a halt. People weren't able to get their food, source of nutrition. Talk about Colonial Pipeline. People can't get gas, and because America's crazy right now, how that has second and third order effects. We talk about the hospital with the baby later dying because they couldn't monitor the mom's
the fetal heart,
the baby's fetal heart rate and things like that. They didn't know the cord was wrapped around his neck. Like, these are all second and third order effects. But it feels like testing, right? It feels like they're building up their skills, they're learning their knowledge, they're making a textbook of how to not only inconvenience us, but then perhaps harm us in the future. And then you saw earlier, I want to say a year or two ago, where Russia was able to take over the state of Georgia, or the country of Georgia, fairly easily by taking down their financial institutions, their utilities, and then pushing propaganda to them. We also saw the disinformation that happened during the several rounds of politics, influencing people's vote due to misinformation. Like, cyber can do so much damage so easily. And these are only the tip of the iceberg. Like, we have no idea how bad the ramifications could be of an actual full-scale attack. And it's good that the government is actually starting to think about that, and then starting to harden the utilities, and harden we talked about it with Gabe, or you will hear about it on Wednesday, about focusing on K through 12 public schools and things of that nature, and just stopping the cyber attacks, preventing ransomware. Like, it's going to come to a crescendo if we don't do something and we don't protect ourselves. Because right now they're asking for money, but what if they just want to harm people? Like, what if that's the objective? How many people can we kill due to second and third order effects? Because we joke about kinetic strikes through cyber, right? You're like, oh, these aren't missiles or bombs. But if you black out an area long enough, and they don't have the ability to get to, diesel or what have you for their generators, and those things start to fail, people will freeze to death. They will not be able to cook and nourish themselves. If they're on life support, they will die. It could get really bad. And I just don't think we take it seriously enough. But you can see there's steps, right? The previous administration and now this administration is starting to pick up what people are laying down. Like, this is serious. Like, you need to put people in the proper positions. You need to give them proper funding, and you need to harden these things so people aren't easily susceptible to these attacks. But that's just my doom and gloom. So I digress. What do you think, Shannon?
So I do want to point this out, that the other side of the firewall podcast was on this water treatment plant thing back in, I think it was like February, March timeframe when it happened.
Yeah.
Remember we went into this, right? Like, we talked about this, how it was caught and everything. So we were the tip of the spear. We were there. We saw it, right? We reported it to y'all. We're looking out for y'all. But no, like, y'all bring up some very good points. Like, whether it be intentional or unintentional, like the second and third order effects you talk about are leading to death, right? But my thing is that my worry, and not to say it's not a worry for it to be the people that unintentionally lead to death, but my worry is that, like you talk about, there are people that are out there for the mayhem, right? There are people that are out there for, they just want to be responsible for people dying at their hands, right? It's the same thing behind serial killers, right? Like, they get a rush from them. If you ever see like these documentaries where they talk to these people and they're just like, the way it made me feel, it was something I wanted to do. And in this day and age, especially in the days of the social media where people can, I call it cyber thugging, you know what I mean? They hide behind an avatar, you know what I mean, and say and do whatever they want. It may not be too big a leap for them to go do something that's actually going to cause this mayhem out there. And again, whether it be intentional or not, I really don't think it matters, right? It's like one of those things where you go to court. It doesn't matter if your intent was not to kill people. You actually had people die at your hands or by your actions. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is it wasn't too surprising to me, right? Because, like I said, there are people that are out there for the mayhem, and it's only a matter of time before they learn these skills, right? And in this digital age, it is easy for them to come across that information too, right? Like, you can take a CEH class, for, let's say, $3,500, you know what I mean? And the next thing you just get that little bit of information, you know what I mean, that can have you out there wreaking havoc, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's what people should be doing, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying that it's easy for them to gain the knowledge to go out there and do these things. You know what I mean? There's all types of study guides and things out there. Not study guides, but I shouldn't say study guides for hacking, but like different websites.
You're right on it.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, you can find some. Yeah, even like I know some of this. What I'm thinking of, some of my when I was going for my cybersecurity masters, and I know Ryan probably experienced this as well, but they give you some of the tools and stuff, and there's guides as far as like how to use the tools, and mostly it's supposed to be for like internal, like, you want to be aware of what's available on your network, or you trying to figure out what's visible, just like Gabe was saying in our podcast yesterday. Or before, and he was basically saying how, because I know we're going to go out of order as far as the days, but man, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, there's this software out there that because you're saying that he wanted to keep everything, you want to cover up, you're putting a blanket over the tools kind of thing. The same thing with your internal infrastructure. You don't want to have your tools available, your servers be visible. Don't have them, because you can use the software just to scan your network and see what's, which servers are open, what ports are open, and if the server has a port that's open that's available to reach into the device. So in that same respect, you want to be able to protect that. But there's definitely like pretty much guides and like software that's available that's kind of for that purpose, that you can read up on. You can find them on the internet. So like you said, not to tell people that, hey, you should use this and go out there and try to see what you can get into, but that kind of stuff is readily available, and people can easily get to it and use that as a bad actor to get into your stuff. So got to be aware of it. Got to be able to be able to counteract that.
Yeah, it reminds me of remember when we were younger, that anarchist cookbook was like a hot topic. It taught you how to do things you should not be doing. And it was actually at one point it was believed that if you checked it off in the library along with other flagged books, you would be put on the list. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't see why not. Right? Like you read out of curiosity, but some people are using it like to do damage. I would not be surprised if something like that exists somewhere out there in the far reaches of the internet to do with all this data they're collecting. Like literally all of these techs are just training. Like they're just slowly building up a pretty hefty Bible of things they can do, and it just the amount of creativity is astonishing. It's like, oh man, I didn't even think of doing that, or I didn't even know that was a thing you could do. So a lot of it's curiosity, but in the wrong hands, like Shannon said, like if you have that, I don't even know what you would call them, like
Anarchists.
yeah,
Call
a
them anarchists.
serial killer activist.
Right.
Like it could be like a lot of damage could be done. Like if the person doesn't want money, they just want to see it burn. You know, that's a different animal. So, but that's good. Homeland is looking into it. We already know that this administration, as well as the previous administration, already started to build teams to take care of this. So it's coming to a head, which is great. Again, we talk about the floodgates are opening up. They are. Like we need people who want to do the defense side of the house, or who want to, do penetration and things of that nature. They need these people within government as well as the private sector. So just be curious, but be a curious good guy. You know what I mean? Like add to our side of protecting people, because yeah, the second and third order effects, like you have no clue who you may be impacting. Like, oh, I just wanted to see how this worked. And like I said, you kill the power somewhere, and then someone needs that power to survive in some way or fashion, and you kill them. Just think of that on a grander scale. Like, what if somebody wants to cause that type of damage? They want to take out the ICU of a hospital or something like that. That could have horrible ramifications. So, very interesting article.
So in this instance, Alfred was very right when he told Bruce Wayne, "Some people just want to see the world burn." Right?
It's a true statement.
Right?
Some people just enjoy that.
It just love to see that.
Yeah, and then those people with the right tools, you know what I mean, are super dangerous. We just need people who are thinking outside the box as well on the good side. Like, which of these systems, these SCADA systems, or even IoT devices could be the next pivot point that causes catastrophe. And then we just need to get those people in the right seats with the right motivation and the right funding to make it happen, to defend us against such attacks. So, but definitely a good article.
Yeah.
But I think that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. Please like, share, subscribe. Emphasis on commenting. Please leave us your feedback. We greatly appreciate it. Please tune in throughout the week. So Monday we talk about how a quote unquote hacker is being targeted for disclosing information or not disclosing information. So we go into great detail about that. You might want to tune into that one just to get a different take on disclosing vulnerabilities. Then obviously today we talked about people trying to kill people through cyber attacks. So I think that's gravely important. Wednesday we talked to Gabriel Davis about CISA. Definitely tune into that one, about his background and what he does for the company and what the organization does for everybody. And then Friday, we're going to talk about that sixth generation of consoles. And then we might talk a little bit about Squid Game or Halloween Kills, and if I liked it and I didn't like it. So definitely tune into that. Hit up the website, www.theothersideofthefirewall.com. We get to all social medias. You can hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I'm on Clubhouse, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter. And you, LeVon?
Hit me up on the Twitters at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure.
Take care.